Hi everyone. In today's video, I want to focus on what character traits should we be looking for as we're dating as divorced Christian women. So I know that some of you have been through very hard patches in relationships as divorced Christian women. Obviously, we're divorced, and so we have walked through some hard situations. We've walked through some emotional turmoil. We've walked through some heartbreak and just difficulty. And you may be thinking right now, I am never going to date again. I do not want that. I can't see myself doing that ever again. Or you may already have begun dating, and maybe that's been for a while, or maybe you're new to that. And so, regardless of where you are, I just want to give you some guidance on the character traits that you should be focusing on. And we are going to look at Boaz from the Book of Ruth to give us some guidance on this topic. Okay. Um, so, as a divorced Christian woman, you actually are in a great place to learn. You are in a great place for opportunity because you have the freedom, you have the opportunity to be selective. You have the opportunity to say, these are the traits and qualities that I do want, and these are the traits and qualities that I do not want. And you have the opportunity to go after the ones that you do want. So this is actually a great place to be, and it's a great place to learn about that before you're dating or in the midst of your dating. So let's look at Boaz in the Book of Ruth. I have another video that goes much more in depth of the Book of Ruth. It's like an overview of the Book of Ruth, and it talks more about the different characters in Ruth and Boaz. But in this video, we're going to just specifically look at the character traits of Boaz. Okay? So the first trait that Boaz had is he was kind and respectful. No matter who he was dealing with in this book, he always spoke kindly to them. He always was kind and he always was respectful. And I know some of you have been in relationships where you did not feel like the other person was treating you kindly or respectfully. You felt disrespected and you felt like you were being treated very unkind. And so we want to be looking for a person that's treating us with kindness and respect always. Okay. Boaz also was able to look past Ruth's past. So Ruth was a Moabite woman. She came from a country that was at odds with the Israelites. And Boaz was really able to just look past that, and he went straight to what are the character traits of Ruth. He learned of her reputation. He learned that she was a worthy woman, which is what he called her. And he was able to look past her past and look at her character traits. So that's somebody that we would be looking for also. We do not want to look for somebody that takes our past and twists it around on us or throws it in our face or takes mistakes that we've made and presents them to us as current problems or whatever. And some of you may have been in situations or relationships where that was happening. So we want to look for somebody like Boaz here who can understand our past and he can move on from it. He can see the woman standing in front of him for who she is now and the type of woman that she is now. The next thing is that family was important to Boaz. He wanted to take care of family. He wanted to be around family. You can see that evident in this book, and it was important to him. So if that's one of the things that's very important to you, then I would highly suggest that you write that on your list of non-negotiables, that you want somebody that also displays that family is important to him. Okay. He also was generous and he provided for them. He not only gave Ruth food and drink to eat, but he gave her the food and drink that his own men had. He gave her more than she needed. He provided food and drink. He sent Ruth home to Naomi with more than the two women would need. And so he was generous and he provided for them. Okay. So the next thing is that he believed in the Lord. And I have another video where I talk about the Lord being in all caps, Lord. So you can check out that video as well. But he believed in the Lord. It was apparent in his everyday life. He wanted the Lord to repay Ruth for how kind she was to Naomi. And that just shows that he was a true believer and he incorporated it into his everyday life. I really can't say enough about that character trait. When you're dating as a divorced Christian woman, you really need to be focused on somebody that actually is a believer, is a true believer, and that incorporates it into their everyday life. All right. Boaz also focused on Ruth's character, not on her outward appearance. And I know that some of you have been treated in different ways based on your outward appearance. You've been treated negatively. I know that some of you have felt while you're dating that the only thing that matters is your outward appearance. And I want you to see here that that's not how it's supposed to be. That Boaz looked at Ruth's character and who she was as a woman, more so than her outward appearance. Boaz also didn't take what was his. He knew that there was somebody else in line that could redeem Ruth before he could, that person was kind of like first in line to become her redeemer. And so he didn't take advantage of the situation and he didn't go redeem her without that person knowing. He didn't take what was his and he didn't take advantage of situations. And so we want to be looking for somebody that's like that, but not somebody that's trying to take advantage or anything like that, but somebody that wants to do things the right way. Boaz also does what he says he's going to do. So he tells Ruth he's going to do something and he does it. And this is a really important thing too. He makes his intentions very clear with Ruth and then he follows through on them. And then also going along with those intentions, he's very forthcoming and he's very clear with them. And I know that I've been in situations and relationships where I was very unclear about the status of the relationship or what the other person's feelings were or where did they think it was going. And I was really in a state of confusion with it. And I want you all to just see that we should be not in a state of confusion, but in a state of clarity, meaning the man should be clear and upfront and direct about what his intentions are. If you're finding yourself in a situation where you're very confused about how the man feels about you, especially if you're finding that you're feeling like you're having to beg for the love and attention or anything like that, that there's confusion there and there's not clarity. And we want somebody that's going to be forthcoming with us, that's going to be clear and direct. And that's exactly what Boaz did with Ruth. He told her what his intentions were. He was clear and upfront and direct, and then he followed through on them. Next, he's a redeemer. So he saw Ruth and Naomi in their situation and he redeemed them. So he was willing to do that. He was willing to bring them under his care and his protection and his provision and bring them out of the situation that they were in before and into a new and good situation with him. And so we want to focus on somebody that has that kind of a heart. Okay. And then he comforts Ruth. Ruth says herself pretty soon after she meets him that he comforted her. We want to be in a relationship where we feel comforted, where the other person will take the time and take the energy to comfort us, to let us know that things will be okay, and to talk with us about it. So that's another good quality that Boaz had that we should be looking for. Boaz also elevates Ruth to a position of honor. So he not only gives her the food and the drink and all of that, but he allows her to come sit with his male workers and eat what they're eating. So he elevates her to that position of honor. So I know some of you have been in situations and relationships where instead of being elevated to a position of honor, you've really been pushed down. And I know that that is not right and it's not a good situation. And I want you to see that the man that you're, considering dating or that you are hoping maybe will pursue you or whatever the case may be, I want you to see, does he elevate you to a position of honor or does he seem to push you down? Okay, Boaz elevated Ruth right away to a position of honor. And then the last thing that we see from him is that he protects her. He knew that there were dangers in the fields, and so he took care of it. he told Ruth, stay here in my field. Don't go out to the other fields where it might be dangerous. He said, I've told my men not to touch you. Stay close to here and I will protect you, basically. And so he went to great lengths there to make sure that she knew she was safe and to make sure that he could make the situation as safe as possible for her. And I know that some of you have been in relationships and situations where you did not feel safe, and that was not a priority, and situations where you, in fact, were not safe. But we see here in Scripture that Boaz wanted to provide safety. He wanted to protect Ruth. He wanted to take care of her. He wanted her to know that she was safe with him. And so when you're dating, I want you to focus on that. I want you to see, in this relationship, do I feel safe? Do I feel like this other person is and will protect me? So I think we can learn a ton of things from Boaz. I think we can pull a ton of character traits out, a ton of things that we can use when we're dating and pursuing relationships, to focus on the things that we actually want. And like I said earlier, if you're single, if you're thinking about dating, you have the opportunity and you have the freedom to be selective. So I would encourage you to be choosy and be selective. Go after the things that you want. And if there's signs of things that you don't want, don't be afraid to say, that's not really what I'm looking for here. Okay. So nobody is perfect. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a perfect Boaz, and every man that you meet, you need to, scrutinize for all these characters. However, we do need to take the time to look for patterns and to see what the man's true character is. Okay. So everybody makes some mistakes here and there. Okay. But we need to look long term, and really give it the time so that we can see what are the patterns that he has and what are his true character traits. Okay. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to comment below this video. Comment what character trait most speaks to you, what character trait you most want to focus on or most want to look for. I also have a coaching program. If you need more personalized one-on-one help with things like this, I have this built into my online coaching program, and you can contact me, send me a message if you're interested in that. So I hope this was beneficial for you today, and I hope you learned something, and I hope that you can use it to be very selective in choosing a wonderful and healthy and loving and supportive relationship for yourself. I'll see you next time.